Hello, and welcome to the Hamsteak Podcast. It's the podcast where we talk about Homestuck and read it for you and tell you about it. Oh my god.
It's true. Oh, come on. Did you try to do that?
I did. I tried to do it right.
Oh, okay. Thought you were trying to do the bit where we don't say the intro right, because we never say the intro right.
No, it's never an intentional bit. It's just I'm very bad at saying that sentence quickly.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm Alex, and I have not read Homestuck before.
My name's Lydia, and I super have.
And this week, we finish Act 5, Act 1.
Did you know that there were two Act 5s? Or, like, two acts in Act 5? Because there are. Deliberately withheld that information.
No, I knew that.
Okay. Wait, how'd you know that?
I think you told me.
Oh, okay.
At some point.
Okay. I think maybe also Act 5 might have started with Act 5, Act 1, like there was an opening of those curtains. I'm not sure, though.
I can't remember.
Yeah. I think it was just Act 5, actually. And I wouldn't be surprised if Andrew Hussey decided halfway through that, in fact, there would be two parts to Act 5.
That sounds right.
But, yeah. So we're going to hurtle towards that particular conclusion today.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of stuff.
There is. So we start off with Tavros on Vriska's floor. And he's getting some proddings from a very rude exile, telling him to stand up and go kiss Vriska.
Right. The gag kind of goes on for a couple of pages. The whole joke is that Hart's Boxcars doesn't seem to recognize that Tavros cannot use his legs that way. And that's it. Vriska's sitting there oblivious to anything going on. Tavros is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the whole joke. It's not funny or good.
Ho ho ho. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, so then meanwhile, as that's happening, we see the Black Queen talking to Vriska. She's got a message.
Yeah, so I thought at first that it was the White Queen, because that would make sense if there were, 12 exiles. But it's Snowfall, and she's actually talking to both Vriska and Terezi.
Did you prepare a list of those?
No, I'm just going to make up a new one every time.
That's pretty impressive that you do it on the spot.
So basically she wants to use... I want to move past it.
Okay.
Not even acknowledge it.
Okay.
And just get, a laugh from you.
Okay.
Or, an exasperated sigh eventually.
Okay. We've established that will be the protocol henceforth.
For the bit.
Okay.
Anyway, she wants to use both Vriska and Terezi to basically get revenge on her mutinous kingdom in the past.
Right. So she's using both Vriska and Terezi at the same time, kind of using them at cross purposes to each other, as the Scourge, as in where Scourge is a synonym for whip, and the joke is that when Vriska and Terezi played Flarp together, they were Team Scourge. So,
okay.
Yeah, so she's using Team Scourge, and she will crack the black inches of her Scourge across Durst, and it will leave, wounds that are red miles long. Do you get it? From the intermission.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
So she tells Terezi that she has to destroy the ring that's in the royal vault. And then we see Snowman's base, and it's a Mother Grub skull. And it's at Kanaya's house in the future.
Or it's at the other set of frog ruins, because there were two.
Oh, yeah, this is the one underground, so it's where Radia was.
Right. Oh, right, that's what they're trying to show you. Okay, yeah, I get that. Right, because the one at Kanaya's house had, a volcano, right? Or a crater or something.
But Kanaya took her volcano with her.
With her, right. So, meanwhile, speaking of Kanaya, she's hanging out in her glitched out land.
Yeah, so it's called the Land of Rays and Garbled Text that keeps flashing.
Right. Hang on a second. I'm going to plug in my mouse really quick. Am I? No. Hang on. Okay. How loud is this?
I can't hear it at all.
Okay, good. Never mind. Use my touchpad then. Okay, so... Right, so she's in the land of Raisin Glitch, and she is the sylph of space. I don't know what a sylph is.
I think like a fairy or something.
Oh, cool.
I think. But she opens up a memo from Super Future Carcat, where he is talking about how dumb he was in the past for starting memos. And he calls his past self a past hole,
Yes.
which is really good. And he says, it turns out you can't alter the outcome of decisions made by morons, no matter how much you yell at them. Which is funny because that's kind of what they do to the humans as well. Mm-hmm. And it draws like a real parallel between them yelling at their past selves and them yelling at the humans.
Right.
He also says no one's going to read through all this, which is funny because we have to.
Yeah. But I do think, so this is ready, we're observing some character development. Carcat is finally realizing that, because he's spent so much time in those memos just, like, standing up on his own soapbox and then arguing with himself and, like, burying the few things that he did have to say in so much vitriol, no one read it, including himself. Like,
yeah.
he had the opportunity to find out exactly what they were going to do, and because it was such garbage, he only skimmed it. And I guess also maybe because he doesn't respect himself, he, like, didn't think too carefully about what his, future self was saying, and so he completely missed an opportunity to learn a lot from himself, and then partly because of all the frustration of trying to blunder through the session without knowing that information, he's just berating himself on these memos, creating the self-berating memos that he didn't want to read in the first place. This is sort of one of the defter justifications of the whole, these memos are inevitable and will be written the way that they are written, but you will also feel a genuine impetus for writing them, and I thought that was kind of clever. Yeah,
it was cool. And actually, so Kanaya talks to Carcat in this memo, and it turns out that this is the only memo that she chimes in on. And he's like, whoa, I haven't heard from you, like, from past you in a long time.
Mm-hmm. Right, because it's Super Future Carcat talking to Kanaya more or less in the present.
Mm-hmm. Whatever the present means.
Yeah.
But they have a really, like, nice conversation, I think.
Yeah.
Carcat is like, well, everyone uses these memos to talk about their romantic problems, so what's your problem? And she doesn't really want to talk about it.
But she does, anyway, a little bit.
Yeah, she slips up that, quote, she isn't messaging me or responding to my messages, and so Carcat's like, oh, that narrows it down. She's just like, shit.
Kanaya has a crush. A red crush, to be specific. And she doesn't want to talk about it, but yeah.
Yeah, and then she asks Carcat, what about him? And he's like, I don't really have any, like, red crushes, but I kind of suspect that I'm my own Kismesis.
Yeah.
Which is really funny and weird.
I think I feel like the element of destiny in troll romance makes that slightly less ridiculous of an assertion than it does for, like, human beings.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like your romantic partner is not just, like, a relationship you have in your life. It's this sort of philosophical construct.
Right. And since the one that, like, argues and hates him the most is himself, that's his Kismesis.
Right. It's like such a deeply self-indulgent hatred too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I think it's really funny. I feel like his relationship with his past self might almost be like the epitome of what they're trying to make Kismesis-itude about. Yeah,
that makes sense. And they end this memo with
wait, there's a heartwarming anecdote first.
Oh, go ahead.
They have a heartwarming anecdote where Karkat is just kind of starting to break down, and he's feeling freaked out and lonely. They're floating in this empty game session on a meteor, and he starts talking about the last 12th perigee, which is Troll Christmas, and his pleasant Christmas memories, and then Troll Christmas memories, and then Kanaya talks about her Troll Christmas memories, and I don't know, Karkat is really level-headed and sensitive as soon as he stops shouting, and it's, I don't know, it's just kind of a nice little quote-unquote humanizing thing for them to share those. Anyway, then it ends on a thing.
Yeah, Karkat's like, oh, you're here, and you're over Tavros with your chainsaw. What are you doing? Oh God, what are you doing? And then he faints for an hour, and Karkat from another hour in the future is like, yeah, that was weird.
Yeah, Karkat from the future comes in and lets Kanaya know that everything is fine. My past self just passed out watching you. So what's happening is, and we saw this weeks ago, and we didn't necessarily understand what was happening at the time. Kanaya is chopping Tavros' legs off.
Yeah.
So that they can attach robotic ones.
Yes.
But she's chopping an unconscious Tavros' legs off with a chainsaw.
Yes.
Just so that we're clear. And then that's the end of that particular question. Oh, she does also ask him, Kanaya wants to know from Karkat, is magic real? Because she's read in Rose's walkthrough about magic being used, and she suspects maybe, humans were just a more advanced species, and Karkat lets her know that, no, as far as I know, we didn't use any magic, but, all of this stuff is close to magic anyway, science-y magic, and also don't worry about it, that whatever the thing is that you're trying to do, your role in this story, you definitely fulfilled it, you'll figure it out.
Yeah. He also mentions that he suspects, and Solix suspects that their session is rigged.
Yeah, that's important.
Yeah, kind of. And he's like, actually, we probably weren't morons in the past. We were doing everything as right as we could. It's just that someone was acting against us.
Which I feel like is a powerful sentiment, sort of. This is one of those times when the game is sort of, it really is a metaphor for coming of age stuff, when you realize that you can't always make the best, you make the best choice you can based on what you know, and you do the best that you can based on what you have, and sometimes just the circumstances will get in your way, and that can be really hard to come to terms with. Yeah,
absolutely.
And then, so then the other thing that Karkat says before he signs off, which we're about to see, is he tells her, all right, if you want to know what happens at the end of the game, scroll up to the end of the timelines. You can view all the timelines as lines, and, click on them to talk to people on different points in time in Trollian. And if you scroll up to the top of the window, which we see her do on the next panel, it, is broken.
Yeah, it's it's like a cracked screen, basically.
Right, with, flashing black and white static noise scribbles coming through.
Yeah.
So that's a little alarming.
It is. We now go to Terezi.
Right.
Who has a dragon jetpack, which is like a jetpack with big dragon wings on it.
It's true.
And it's cool. And she flies up the side of her very tall hive. And she passes her dragon sprite, who's really cute. The dragon sprite just sniffs and says hello and laughs.
Yeah.
Because it's a baby, right?
Mm-hmm. So, I guess she's a very wise baby, but she's a baby.
Mm-hmm.
It's really cute.
She's excited to sniff the world.
Yeah. So Karkat is messaging Terezi, apparently in response to something that she said. She said she wanted to talk to him. And so the next couple of, we're going to see this conversation for a couple pages. It's mostly, them flirting with each other. Well, it's mostly Terezi flirting with Karkat. But there is some content also.
Yeah. What's the most pertinent stuff?
So the most pertinent stuff is she's trying to recruit Karkat onto a new mission that her exile was whispering to her, which is that they need to destroy the king's ring and exile Jack, which Karkat wants no part of because he really likes Jack, but Terezi really doesn't trust him. He's too smooth.
Yeah, and she's also like, he's like stabbed you multiple times now. And he's like, well, at least one of those was an accident.
Right. Probably only the one of them. And,
she says it's cute that he looks up to Jack, though.
It does, yes. She calls him cute multiple times. It's,
yeah.
It's kind of sweet. She talks about, so he tries to get her to, open up to him about some things about how she learned to see by smelling and how she lost her eyesight in the first place. And, which she apparently is always really cagey about. And she says, you know what? I'll tell you on CrossFit when you wake up.
Mm-hmm.
And what else? So she knows what Karkat's blood color is. And Alex, I'm seeing in your notes that you have the wrong idea about it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, he's being cagey about it as usual, like, not wanting to talk about it. And she's like, I know that it's like bright candy red. I smelled it under your skin. And he's like, when would you ever have been close enough to me to do that? Oh, wait, that incident. And then, like, we're not told what it is.
Right.
I don't remember exactly how that exposition goes down, but I think we find out how that went down later. But the point is they've met rather intimately at some point in some context. So, but she agrees not to tell anyone because he doesn't want people not to respect him. Like, he doesn't want them to hold that against him. And that's, I think, everything. They spend an awful lot of time talking about this very little bit of plot.
Yeah, and then, they, like, sign off really cutely, where she leaves him a heart, and they both sign off, and then he logs back on and leaves her a heart.
It's really sweet.
And this is the first, like, okay, yeah, the cute moment that I've had, I think.
Oh, for any of the trolls?
Yeah.
Aww.
Or any of the characters.
Aww. Okay. Well, I'm glad it's happening. That I feel like we're beginning to see some of these relationships pan out as, like, kind of earned, because you are kind of dropped sort of in media res.
Yeah.
And so, like the Seferi breaking up with Solux, you're just kind of, or with Eridan, you're just kind of like, whatever. Like, he's clearly terrible, and your reasons make a lot of sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Then there's this weird Sweet Bro and Hella Jeff page, which I think was probably Hussey, like, putting up a placeholder update, because it was taking him a while to finish the next Flash. Yeah,
it's just kind of a bunch of stuff. Basically, it's showing Terezi flying away, and her dragon sprite saying, bye-bye, hee-hee.
And then a big panel of Karkat going, okay.
Yeah.
It's, like, stupid.
Yep.
Then there's a really good Flash.
Yeah, so it's been a while since we've had a Flash.
That's true.
And this is a good one.
Yeah.
So we open up on Vriska right after she blew up. She wakes up and...
Right after the magic cue ball blew up in her face, blew off her arm, and blinded her in one eye.
Yes. So she, to get revenge on Terezi, since she can't control Terezi directly, what she does is a psychic double reach around, where she controls Tavros and causes him to control Terezi's Lucis, which I'm not sure how he did that.
She's an animal, and he can commune with animals.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. And then, so then she causes him to cause the Lucis to control Terezi, and basically makes her sleepwalk into the middle of the forest and open her eyes directly into the Elturnian sun.
Right, and remember, most trolls can't tolerate sunlight, really.
Yeah.
So, I mean, staring into the sun isn't good for anyone, but it doesn't even take long. She opens her eyes on Alternia and stares into the sun, which also means that she opens her eyes on Prospit, and, like, so she had been sleepwalking on Prospit, but she wakes up and briefly gets to see everything around her before her dream self goes blind along with her Alternia self.
Right.
So that's part one. So that is how she was blinded. That's how Vriska blinded her.
Mm-hmm. So then we get a montage of all the trolls in the medium.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all fighting pretty good. And a bunch of them have actually met up.
Mm-hmm.
So we see Terezi and Karkat fighting together, kind of while Jack is off on the side watching.
Uh-huh.
And this is what I assumed was the moment that they were close enough to, like, for her to smell his blood.
Oh, probably. I'm not sure. Karkat seemed to be very shy about discussing that incident, though, so I think it might be something else.
Possibly. Then we also see Pfeffery and Solux fighting together. And then we see Solux and Eridan fighting each other. Probably those are related.
Yeah, probably.
Then we get...
Wait. Okay, so I also want to point out that Eridan is shooting a blast of magic out of a magic wand in that fight.
Is
so, yes.
I thought he had his like a laser gun.
Is he waving a laser gun?
I think it's a laser gun.
Okay, whatever. He's blasting some kind of thing at Solix, and it's like a stupid Dragon Ball Z, like, we're gonna shoot our beams at each other.
Yeah, and, like, the beams, like, meet in the middle, and, yeah. And then after that, we see Aradia show up on Vriska's planet, and just absolutely destroy her.
Yeah.
Like, very graphically.
Yeah, like, beats her very bloody, and then dumps her on the ground.
And her robot arm has fallen off.
Yeah.
But that actually wakes Vriska up on Prospit.
Right.
And on Prospit, she has her 7-pupiled eye intact.
Right. And the flash ends on, so Aradia sort of storms away once she's done with Vriska on the Land of Maps and Treasure, and meanwhile on Prospit, it's just this 2-second bit of Dream Vriska opens her eyes, and the first thing she sees is Terezi, like, grinning down at her, and then, like, slapping her in the face. And that's, so Make Her Pay applies to a great many different events in that flash.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, go ahead, sorry.
Sorry, so after the flash, we see this guy. It's Diamond Stroogs. Diamond Stroog. And he's whispering to Aradia.
Right.
And basically, she just says, like, shut up. She actually takes Vriska's arm and uses it as a pen with Vriska's blood as the ink. And, like, writes in the air for him to stop telling her what to do. Quit bossing me around. I'm not okay with it.
It's really, so I found that, like, really, I had forgotten that was who she was directing it at, but I'm pretty sure that is who she was directing it at. And that's actually a really powerful moment, because, like, so, remember, she's had to listen to the voices of the dead her whole life.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been really troubling for her. And then, you know, she's been hearing from this Droog guy now, and it's implied that, like, you know, she doesn't necessarily want to bring on this revenge. Like, when she decided to haunt Vriska, that was, like, Doc Scratch was kind of involved in that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the last time that she exacted some kind of revenge, Doc Scratch was sort of instigating it, and then this time it was Drew kind of instigating her to do this, and she's not a vengeful person. So,
yeah,
you know, I mean, clearly she has that inside of her, but
yeah.
So it's I don't know, it's kind of powerful and sad that, like, mean, she has every right to be upset with, like, deeply upset with Vriska, but meanwhile that she would take it this far, and then, like, she's very aware that it's not really her, and I don't know. I thought that was, like, it's a really powerful moment that it's like, I'm now writing this message in someone else's blood to show you, mysterious observer.
Yeah, but then also, he tells her to skip to the end, and after she says, "Don't tell me what to do," she skips to the end.
Right, but I suppose there's not really any harm. That's more a narrative device, I think, because we need to end the act.
Yeah, but I also feel like that was kind of similar to Nepeta and Equius, where he tells her what to do, and she says, "No, I don't have to do that," and then she does it.
Possible.
Or with Scratch and Vriska, I guess, actually.
But, like, the difference here is that, like, Droog is literally inside her head. Like, remember that's how it works with exiles. They're not just, unless you're a seer, like Terezi, you can't, it's not just them speaking to you, like, they're instigating desires in you.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's true, I guess.
It's a little bit, it changes the tenor of the thing. Although I do definitely think there's also something sort of sad and moving about, you know, how Nepeta's always like, I don't have to do that, and then she does it.
Yeah. Yeah. So she skips to the end.
Correct.
Which, I'm not exactly sure how it works. She has these two, like, crystal things.
Yeah.
And I assume that she uses those to time travel.
Right, so...
But that isn't explained at all.
No, you don't need it to be explained, really. Basically, Karkat mentions at some point that she's the Maid of Time, and she's in charge of managing the timelines in their session. Like, that's her role.
Okay. Well, that actually comes up. That makes it... That's extremely... what's the word? That's extremely relevant.
Okay.
Because at the end of the timeline, what she has done is she's amassed an army of herselves from all the doomed timelines.
Right.
That she's splintered off from the main one. Just like Dave Sprite. And so there's all these robot Irradias hovering on the battlefield.
Yeah.
And they're, since like doomed timeline entities are like destined to die quickly, they're basically all on a suicide mission.
Right, yeah, if you bring someone from a doomed timeline back to, you know, before their timeline branched off, like, they won't survive there, because they're doomed. And, which I thought was really incredibly dark. Like, you're dead, you've been instantiated into this robot, and now you've gathered, you know, thousands of yourself who you know is going to die again.
Mm-hmm.
To do something that you know is going to involve, like, sacrifice. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's pretty dark.
It's pretty dark, yeah. And so we're seeing all of this through like a Soulbot cam, basically. Mm-hmm. So we're seeing it like through Irradia's eyes, the like Irradia Prime.
Right.
So we see all these other Irradias, and then we see this grotesque silhouette of the Black King, who's been prototyped to hell. And now that he has Glub Glub powers, they actually need this enormous psychic robot army to suppress the Glub Glub, like, call that will kill everything instantly.
Right.
That the king could do if he wanted to.
Mm-hmm. Right, because they're all dead, so they're invulnerable anyway, and they're a lot stronger than they would be normally because they are robots now.
Right.
So,
I assume that it was just like they were mentally suppressing him.
Right.
With their
they're supposed
powers.
to be psychically stronger as well. Yeah. I don't know, the king is really, really, like, super duper hideous, and you can totally see why the Black Queen, like it wasn't necessarily, I don't know, they kind of pitch it like it's just vanity, that she didn't want to be prototyped like that, but, like, or, well, I mean, she doesn't want to be prototyped with a frog, because the frog is so
Right.
repellent to her. But
Yeah.
I don't know, like, you can see why you wouldn't want to be morphed into this horrific, like,
Enormous. Yeah.
Lovecraftian spider tentacle monster thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really effective. I don't know. I like how the visual... I'm trying to fill space here, because we're actually running short. But,
I think it's okay if we just, like, finish quickly.
yeah, but I want to comment on the art.
Okay, go ahead.
It's one sentence. The thing I have to say about the art is that I really like... There's actually a lot of instances of this where, like, black silhouettes are used very suggestively to imply a really, really enormous, like, complicated and layered thing, but that's also so large, like, on a cosmic scale. Like, the use of detail and silhouette is really cool.
Yeah, I agree for sure. It's very... Yeah, we don't really see the king directly, we just see the silhouette.
Mm-hmm.
And then we see his face, which is enormous, and it's looking at the 12 trolls, who are all gathered on a floating lily pad spirograph thing.
Right.
Because it's the final battle, and they gotta get his orb.
They gotta get his orb, but they gotta get the orb on his scepter, because if they
Yes.
destroy that, it takes away his power.
And it ends the game, basically.
Right.
It's supposed to. Mm-hmm. So they succeed very narrowly, but we get this, like, really ominous narration from Aradia, where it's like, despite the enormous army, and despite the fact that Vriska rolled, like, a perfect dice roll, and despite the fact that we were all, like, at the top of our echelators, and despite etc., 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 then we see an image of them with this enormous, like, scrub, or what is it called? Scrub, like, logo kind of thing. Like a purple 12-box house door. And there's a door on it, and the handle is the orb. And Karkat just has to reach out and get it. And then the rift happens.
Right. So they're all sitting there waiting to claim their reward. They've narrowly succeeded, and...
Oh, I also just want to note that we see Vriska here, and she has an intact eye, so I assume that that's her dream self who's survived to the end.
That's a good point, yes. Correct.
Yeah.
So Karkat is reaching for the door, and we see all the other trolls turn around, because not just the rift, but the consequence of the rift is that a demon who is indestructible, omnipotent, and enraged, which we want to guess is Lord English, has just shown himself in their universe due to this rift in the kids' universe.
Right.
So this is the event that they were so angry with them about, understandably. What happens is he shows up and he tries to destroy the trolls. He's basically been forced out of hiding by the rift somehow, and the entire robot army sacrifices itself to buy the trolls some time to escape and just go hide out on a meteor. And so now they're on the meteor, they're in this empty session, just like drifting through empty space. They can't get to they can't get back to Alternia. Like, they're just kind of marooned here. Like, it's understandable why they'd be infuriated.
Yeah.
And the way that they show the video, the Soulbot video of the rift itself is really cool. It's a very, very uncharacteristically long panel, kind of like those annoying, scroll down and see all the colors of the sky things. And it goes from, it shows the kids on their platform, and it flashes red over that view, and then it fades down to black, and then the black peters out into, like, shreds of space over this, like, inferno. It's like burning that lime green color that we've seen associated with Doc Scratch and with Beck. Mm-hmm. And so it's like lime green and yellow lightning, and we find out that the rift is called a scratch.
Yes. Ho ho.
Ho ho. Do you get it?
Scratch doctor.
Yeah. So, and apparently... Go ahead.
I actually... You go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, so there's basically just a bunch of exposition here, which is that little bits and pieces. The meteor that they're hiding out on is the one where they were hatched. So we're sort of made aware that these kids have sort of synthetic, probably paradoxical origins, just like the human kids did.
Mm-hmm.
They find out that their session is soon to be null, and we're not really told what that means exactly, although it probably has something to do with the fact that they can't get into their reward, which would have been through their door. And okay, so we also learned that scratches are themselves benign. There's lots of reasons within the game why you might need to cause a scratch.
Mm-hmm.
And the game actually gives you ways on purpose of creating them, one suspects possibly through entities like Doc Scratch.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's about it. And then there's sort of the big reveal of what the ultimate reward would have been.
Yeah, so what we see is, first we get, like, an image of Alternia, and there's this, like, glowing, almost like an aurora of the hemo spectrum around it.
Mm-hmm.
And then that zooms out, and we see the angry red Alternian sun. And we see that this system is in the middle of this big, enormous grayscale galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
And we zoom out more, and we see that there's like a whole universe, and then we zoom out more, and it's all in Solix's blue eye. Like
right.
He sees the cosmos.
Right. And so that's the universe that they have left behind. They can't get in there anymore.
Right. And then we switch over to his red eye, and we zoom in this time on a galaxy, into a star system, onto a planet, which is surrounded by 12 zodiac signs.
Right, all in the colors of the hemospectrum. Yeah. And it's Earth!
It's Earth, yeah, of course. And their reward was going to be this new universe.
Right, they were going to get to go live there.
And this universe apparently was actually created by them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if, like, directly or just, like, because they were in the game.
I believe that's a function of victory. Well, yeah. It's complicated, and I've actually...
Sure.
I'm not sure I understand exactly how that works still. It has to do with Skaya. This isn't a spoiler. You're meant to kind of understand that much by now. So, like, mm-hmm. You notice that they're on the battlefield, which is, like, Skaya, and it sort of shrinks out of existence when they defeat the king. It's, you know, this tiny little orb, this tiny little, like, moat floating under their platform. Mm-hmm. And remember that Skaya was first described as a dormant crucible of unlimited creative power.
Right.
Get it? So...
Yeah. So this was their reward, was this brand new universe,
mm-hmm.
Our universe, and they can't get to it.
Right.
So they're just stuck.
Yep.
And then that's the end of Act 5, Act 1.
Right, a red curtain falls, and then a blue curtain falls in front of it.
Oh, that's a nice little detail.
Yeah, you guys.
Ah.
So how was reading this for the first time? I'm actually kind of jealous.
Just this reading?
Yeah.
It was really cool. It was cool to, like, find out how the universes are related.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes me excited for what happens next.
Me too. And I've read this before, and I'm still excited to see what's going to happen next. I'm going to look up really quickly when it was that we first saw the trolls. Because I want us to talk about how long it took.
Oh, gosh.
Sorry, I'm just not talking because I'm typing and I don't want my speech to get eaten. So let's let's look at this one. Boop, 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 boop. Wow. So all of this stuff happened in the past 7 episodes.
All the trolls?
Yeah, we met the trolls in episode 24, and this is episode 31. So,
wow, it feels like it was a lot more than, like, it feels like it's been the majority, honestly.
Right?
Like, the humans are completely, like, out of mind.
Yeah. I definitely remember all of the troll stuff feeling like forced exposition pretty recently, too.
Mm-hmm.
And it already kind of feels, I feel immersed in it. It feels kind of organic.
Well, I think it's probably largely a function of the way that the troll story was structured, where we were just, like, given, like, we skipped enormous amounts of things because we have to assume that it worked similarly to the way it worked in the first session.
Right.
So it just felt a lot longer than it actually was, because we moved through a lot of material, and then also had a bunch of, like, exposition and character development and stuff. And also this is, like, the very end, so we feel like we've gone all the way through.
That's true.
We haven't at all.
Yeah, and the pacing, I feel like, just slowed down right at the end enough that you felt like you were really seeing, you know, this really granular, like, I don't know, denouement, but, like, you never saw anything that came before it.
Mm-hmm.
So
you fill in the blanks automatically.
Yeah, which, like, I don't know, that's really hard to pull. I don't know. Hussey makes a lot of bad jokes that I don't like, and there's a lot of blind spots in this story and in his characterization and everything. But at the same time, like, I don't know, you got to give him credit for pulling that off in terms of storytelling. Like, that's really the amount of story he managed to tell rather than showing without it feeling that way is I think pretty impressive. So
yeah, I really agree. It's been really cool to experience so far.
I hope you guys have liked it too.
Yeah, I just realized that we haven't told any jokes, so there's not going to be an episode title.
We haven't said anything funny the whole time.
I don't think so.
I think
maybe that's me.
We both have to, like, run somewhere, I think, right after this. So it's like we're not being funny right now.
We're zooming through.
We can just call it zooming through.
Sure. Yeah. I mean that's relevant, like, thematically.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Questions. We don't have any because we forgot to ask.
Sorry.
But if you'd like to send us a question, you can do so at hamsteakpodcast.tumblr.com or on Twitter at hamsteakpodcast. And if you have a spoiler, where can people find you, Lydia?
I'm Brickchip on Tumblr and on Twitter.
And I'm Leaf Crunch on Tumblr and Crunchleaf on Twitter.
Remember, if you're going to send me a spoiler on Twitter, don't send it as a mention, send it as a DM, so that you don't spoil my co-host.
Well, if, if I don't follow them, then they can mention you and I won't see it.
That's true. You know what? You're right. But just send me a DM anyway. I hate mentions. Then you don't have to limit yourself to 140 characters. And also, yeah, don't send spoilers to our main Hamsteak accounts. We pretty much said that already, so.
Yeah,
but
we haven't had an issue with that.
Yep. I think that's the end. I think this is going to be a short one, you guys.
Merp.
Oh, wait. Okay, wait. You wanna?
Maybe that's the title.
Tell me a little bit about this cat that you've been cat sitting.
Okay. So I'm cat sitting this cat named Isis.
Oh.
And she's 10 years old. And she's a what's it called? A tortoiseshell.
Tortoiseshell, yeah.
I was going to say turquoise shell. That's not right.
Oh.
And she has this, like, Scratchy discovered late in life that she could meow.
Oh.
So it's very, like, very cute. And yeah, she's just lovely, and I've never had a cat, and it's nice to, like, cuddle with a cat.
It's nice that she likes you enough, despite just being the cat sitter, that she will come and, like, sit with you and hang out.
Yeah, I'm really happy that she likes me. She really likes, like, shoes. So she, like, rubs up on my shoes. And so I think that's probably helped our relationship.
That you are a shoe wearer?
Well, that she, like, likes my, like, scent, I guess.
Aww.
But yeah, that's what's going on with me right now.
That's awesome.
How's Florida so far?
It's really good. I've finally been getting out in the mornings to go just, like, write or, like, read for this podcast or something. And I just go, like, sit out in my backyard on, like, a towel. And it's, like, it's kind of weird because, like, it is technically a city, but it's like almost a city. It's pretty flat. And so it's just urban enough that there's, like, cool stuff to do, but also quiet enough that, like, you know, I'm three blocks away from Main Street, and it's still, like, quiet, and, like, the sounds that I hear aren't really road noise. I'm hearing, like, the woodpecker in the palm tree outside my door, and, like, my neighbor's chickens.
Oh.
My neighbor has a bunch of chickens that I can't see, but I hear them, and every so often they'll, like, balk at each other, and it's really funny. Or, like, he'll go out and be like, they'll start, like, balking at him and stuff, and I don't know what's going on, but he'll be like, oh no, don't do that.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah. There's a bunch of mourning doves that live in his yard, that are always, like, fluttering around. It's like, I don't know, it's a really beautiful spot. I like it.
That's really good.
Thanks. We hope that you're doing well, too.
Yeah, send us an ask about just how your day is going, I guess.
Do it.
Or probably send that to us individually, not... We don't want to, like, read off just how everyone was doing on our next episode. Unless we do. I don't know.
I'd be down. We'll see how it pans out. We'll see. We'll reserve artistic discretion. You may participate in the art making if you like. How's that?
That's good. Thanks for listening.
Thanks. We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.